My father was the late god of war of the Dragon Empire, king's favor. I was raised from a young age by Queen Lillian, growing up alongside the twin dragon princes of the royal family. In those years, they regarded me as their only treasure, shielding me from storms and nurturing me with utmost care. By the year of my coming-of-age ceremony, wishing to repay the royal family's nurturing grace, I had originally planned to make a choice between the two brothers and enter into a companion's pact with one of them, as is the tradition of the Dragon Empire. But who would have guessed that after a trip to the mortal world, they would bring back a human girl? From that day on, those two proud dragons completely changed their attitude toward me. Not only did they allow her to shatter the magic soulstone pendant my mother left me, but they also burned with dragon fire the cloaks I had once given them. Yesterday, that girl went even further, smashing the coming-of-age chalice the two princes had given me right in front of my face. Instead of scolding her in the slightest, they rushed forward in a panic, terrified that the shards might cut her fragile skin. The next morning, I went alone to find Lillian and asked her to arrange a marriage for me. Among the parchment scrolls of alliance proposals, I pointed to the one inscribed with an ancient wave insignia. Your Majesty the Queen, I will marry the King of the Deep Sea. 3 days later, news of the Deep Sea King's acceptance of the alliance reached the palace, along with the marriage contract bearing his siren seal. In her bedchamber, Lillian took my hand and sighed.
Freya, it is good that you have come around.
The royal family never intended to use you as political kerosene. You no longer need to concern yourself with Xavier and Ignis. A flash of anger crossed the Dragon Queen's eyes as she spoke of her two sons.
They're like bewitched men now, revolving around that girl all day long, even abandoning dragon pride for her. Although I cannot stand to see them fooled by a human, since it's their own choice, there is nothing I can do. But rest assured, though the Deep Sea King is cold and mysterious, he is the undisputed ruler of the entire ocean. When my alliance proclamation was sent to the realms, he personally dispatched an envoy with this contract, asking specifically for you.
Marrying into the sea, he will never treat you poorly.
I silently filled the Dragon Queen's goblet with fruit wine, listening obediently to her advice. I knew in my heart that even though I had been raised by her since childhood, without the backing of my own family, she had always held a certain arrogance towards me. Now that I was willingly stepping aside, no longer caught between her two sons, and could even bring the Deep Sea's alliance to the dragons through this marriage, she naturally couldn't be more pleased. What she didn't know was that when Caroline shattered the soulstone pendant my mother left me, the last shred of attachment I had to this place had already completely died. I bowed to the Dragon Queen in farewell and withdrew from her bedchamber. Back in my own room, looking at the pile of shards resting on the table, my heart ached. That was the only heirloom my mother had left me. Back then, when the soulstone pendant fell into the demon abyss, it was Xavier who, discarding his own safety, ventured alone into the abyss to retrieve it for me. To thank him, I sewed a defensive cloak for him with soft golden thread. I tried to chant a mending spell, but the shattered soulstone showed no response. From now on, I would not even have this last remembrancy of my mother. Just like the bond I had shared with them since childhood, along with the soulstone, it would never return.
Freya, wait for me to return from the mortal realm. I will hold the blood contract ceremony before the temple, and make you my crown princess, the future queen of the dragons.
100 years ago, Xavier, as heir to the Empire, had held me tightly like this before his departure. Then Ignis came running after, taking my hand, and saying he would use his entire Red Dragon territory to marry me, telling me to wait for them to return. A dragon's life is far too long. 100 years. So long that I still hadn't made my final choice between the two brothers. I had promised to give them an answer. Back then, to win that right. The two brothers had even fought fiercely, in the Empire's dueling arena. Their possessiveness toward me had never been love. I let out a bitter, quiet laugh. As I reached out to gather the sherds, the sharp edges cut my palm, and blood fell to the floor drop by drop.
Freya? What are you doing here?
Suddenly, Xavier stood behind me, unknown when he had arrived.
Kaelen lost everything in the war. She is helpless and without reliance here. I have already decided to make her my consort at the autumn grand ceremony. As for you, Ignos will marry you. This works out best for everyone.
I watched him speak in that matter-of-fact tone, handing the position of queen he had once promised me to someone else with both hands, then pushing me off to his brother like an object.
On what grounds? Kaelen should marry me. You should marry Freya. Up until now, she's never once agreed to choose between us.
The two princes stood in my room, their faces red as they argued over the ownership of a human girl. They had forgotten that I was standing right there. I pulled over a silk handkerchief and wiped the blood from my palm. As I lowered my head, a yellowed magical letter and an ivory bone floon lying in a hidden compartment. Those were gifts they had once given me. I grabbed both items and hurled them fiercely at the two brothers. Get out, both of you. The brothers fell silent instantly, staring blankly at the shattered bone flute by their boots.
Freya, have you lost your mind?
Furious, they slammed the door hard and left. I looked at the crumpled letter and the broken bone flute on the floor. Picking them up, I walked to the magical spring on the mountain behind the palace and threw them down without a moment's hesitation. This spring head was something we had dug together when we were young. Back then, the two brothers, knowing how much I liked using spring water to brew magic potions, had specially gone to the sacred pool of the Dragon King and begged for a drop of magical water to pour here, so that this spring would forever flow with gentle magic.
Freya, does this spring please your heart?
The young boy from those days had asked, his eyes full of expectation. In truth, I was merely greedy for their presence, wanting an excuse to make them stay a little longer whenever they came to see me.
Lady Freya, the two princes have ordered this entire magical spring to be located to Miss Kaelen's courtyard. She said she has never tasted magically infused water, and the princes wish to give it to her as a novelty.
No need to move it. Just have the guards come and ruin this spring entirely.
Since they want it so badly, let them move the mud and water. If this spring head had become insignificant in their hearts, why should I care about it? The next day, Queen Lillian sent over an invitation from Princess Royal Thea, inviting me to a celebration. Thea was their aunt. Because the Dragon Queen was frail, there was a period during the two princes' childhood when they were placed in the Princess Royal's care, and during those days, I had stayed by her side as well. Upon learning that they had successfully completed their trials and returned, the Princess Royal had immediately held this banquet in their honor.
Freya, according to tradition, you are to dance the opening dance at today's grand ceremony. Let Xavier accompany you on the lut, shall we?
I was about to refuse, but to my surprise, Xavier agreed first.
Since Aunt asks, I certainly agree.
He reached out his hand toward me. I knew what he meant. He was asking for the ivory bone flute. The bone flute is already broken, Your Highness. You will have to find something else. Suddenly, Kaelen stepped out from behind Xavier and took over with a smile.
Princess Royal, how about I dance the opening dance instead? I don't need any musical accompaniment. What do you think?
Princess Royal Thea's brow furrowed slightly. She waved her hand coldly, signaling the guards to drag her away. Just then, the Dragon Queen arrived as well.
Freya, just dance this one dance. This is likely to be the last celebration you attend in the Empire. Consider it a keepsake.
I saw Xavier quietly tighten his grip on Kaelen's hand, soothing her emotions behind his back. I lifted the hem of my dress, walked to the center of the grand hall, and began to dance gracefully to the melodious notes of the lup. The wound on my palm, cut just yesterday, split open once more, and seeping blood dripped onto the white proportion floor. From the audience, Caroline exclaimed loudly,
What does Miss Freya mean by this? Causing such a scene at the celebration? Could she be trying to use such a trick to win the prince's sympathy?
It is time to proceed to the next segment.
Thea's gaze drifted among the few of us, as if she had already seen through everything. Caroline pulled her hand free from Xavier's, lifted her chin, and looked at me.
I may be a human, but I would never hand over the one I love to someone else.
Even if you are a noble of the Dragon Empire, I will absolutely never back down.
Then she ran off on her own accord. Seeing this, Xavier and Ignis immediately chased after her, one after the other. Princess Royal Thea's brow furrowed deeply.
This human is utterly rude and insolent.
She took a healing ointment from her robe, gently drew my hand into hers, and applied it to the wound on my palm.
A bit of a dispute occurred.
During this, she asked about my entanglement with the two brothers. I only answered faintly.
Your Highness, I am about to marry the King of the Deep Sea.
After bandaging the wound, I withdrew my hand with a shallow smile.
I'm afraid I will never have another chance to stay by your side.
6 days later, the palace lady-in-waiter delivered my ceremony ritual gown. Just then, Ignis strode into the room. Behind him followed an arrogant-faced Caroline.
Freya, Caroline really admires your craft in brewing soothing potions. Teach her this formula and technique.
By what right should I teach her?
Darling, don't be so stingy. I truly love the potions you make. Only by learning this craft can I make the two princes as infatuated with me as they are with you. Caroline said hypocritically as she stepped forward, a venomous defiance flashing in her eyes.
Oh my, Freya, why do you have a sacred ceremonial gown here?
Freya, are you trying to pressure them into marrying you? Ignis's slit pupils contracted violently at the sight of the gown.
What is going on here? Are you really trying to pressure someone into marriage, just as Caroline said? My brother?
He grabbed it from I looked quietly at him, letting out a cynical laugh.
Marry me, Freya. Stop thinking about my brother. Why can't you ever just look at me?
He suddenly flung his arms open, brutally and tightly locking me in a fierce embrace. The next moment, dragon fire burst from his palm, instant reducing that ceremonial gown to ashes. I was stunned, my mind turning completely blank. Ignis's heart was pounding fast, and his scalding heat transmitted through the layers of clothing, sending a wave of panic through my heart. I struggled violently, using every ounce of my strength to shove him away fiercely, causing him to fall awkwardly onto the floor. His eyes were rimmed with red, looking as though tears would fall any second.
Do you really want to marry my brother that badly?